Transformation.
A lot of strength.
I just see this sort of awareness of their strength and their limitlessness.
Transformation.
The women that I see when I first start training them are different than the women at the end of the class.
They all have come in with a certain strength, but it's so different for each of them.
By the end of the class, I think we all see it in each other.
When they do self-defense, they become connected with that strength, and it transforms them.
It's such a simple concept, but it turns everything on their head. And you think about all the different ways that can apply in their life where they can actually be agents for change and act on their own behalf.
You can see it in them, almost a relief, like it's been the elephant in the room their whole growing up.
And especially with the little kids, you see it right away when they have that opportunity to stand up to a grown-up and use their voice and use their strikes and get out of there, and it's like they feel it. You can see it on their face, the first time they do it.
The unspoken is spoken.
I also see in them, often a lot of myself, a lot of the same kinds of doubts and things that I have brought to my training and that brought me to training.
Sometimes you see a light bulb go on for someone, like this is what they've been waiting for a long time.
So the biggest thing I see is women willing to make themselves vulnerable.
Through training, I get this opportunity to continually grow and challenge myself and learn more about myself.
Oh, now I know how to deal with this. No one's really given me the okay to do that.
I see also reflected back to me some of my own challenges that I'm continuing to work on. And I think it's a wonderful thing when we're all in a room together, having an experience together.
It's beautiful. I see beauty. But I see beauty in those moments. And a potential for true peace in the world.
They all come out at the end with something totally amazing and totally individual to who they are.
I see hope there too.
I started training actually so I could become a self-defense teacher. So my path started with self-defense at Lewis and Clark in 1990.
In some ways, I probably started because of my children, because I had been attacked and I was really dealing with, I don't think I identified it as post-traumatic stress then, but I can certainly see that it was.
I think there was something in me that was just very drawn to the art specifically.
In training, I go beyond my imagination, right? I sort of go where I can't even imagine I could go.
I had a lot of fear. I knew immediately that, I wasn't the person that I was before I'd been attacked.
What I didn't know was that it had nothing to do with the physical. It was the belief that I could do it, that I could defend myself, defend my life if I had to, but I had the right to.
That sense of self is constantly changing and growing and developing.
And it's a community of teammates and teachers that facilitate that, and a lot of transformation comes from that.
I train because it makes me a better person.
I didn't want to be a fearful person raising children.
There's just a purity in training when you're on the floor and you're focused. You're focused in that one very moment of movement.
It allows me balance. I train because it makes me stronger, not only physically, the physical comes with it, but internally and mentally I'm stronger.
I needed to be a mother that showed them confidence and strength and made them feel safe and secure. And so, I suppose it was for me, but in the times when my training was hard and I kind of didn't want to do it anymore, it was for them that I kept going because I didn't want to give up.
I feel very passionate about making change in women's lives, in kids' lives.
Well, the reasons I decided to become a self-defense instructor, when I first started training in the Kuntao program and did the self-defense holds, I just had this huge epiphany in that I had always sort of considered my strength as what I can endure, and I kind of wore that as a badge of honor. And then reshaping that in Kuntao of I don't have to endure anything. I get to decide, if I don't like something, I change it. I switch it up.
Choice is why I started training, and choice is really still why I train.
My intention has always been to be someone that they felt would always take care of them.
It's good for my family. It's good for my daughter, who is just turned 10 and embarking on adolescence, to see the women here.
I think that it's given me a higher capacity towards compassion. And I think that the people in my family would agree that when I train, I'm an easier person to be around, because it makes me a better person.
I don't know how to separate my life from my training and my teaching and the things that I learn and just who I am anymore.
Well, I use my training principles all the time. I use them. I mean, how doesn't it? It influences everything. Knowing how to breathe through difficult things, how to not go to fear, to go beyond fear, to trust in something bigger than myself.
When we have that kind of confidence, there's not a lot that anyone could take away from us. I mean, being physically hurt only goes so far. If somebody can't take that from you, then you're always a survivor, no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome of any situation, you have survived because you are who you are.
I think the biggest myth that I would love to debunk is that self-defense isn't about hitting someone. And I say that when I teach a self-defense class, when I start a self-defense class, I use my self-defense every day. People don't realize it's self-defense because it looks in different ways, but I think that that's the myth that I would love to debunk, is that self-defense isn't about fighting the big scary stranger who jumps out of the bushes.
Yeah, that it comes from anger. And something in that myth of anger is very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Dismissive of the whole endeavor. It's a way to sort of almost like paternalize the whole thing, like, oh, isn't that cute, you little pissed off girl.
Well, self-defense just has this connotation, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I guess I can. Self-defense implies this idea of victimhood. And that is so not what you feel when you train self-defense.
I don't often know what to do with my own anger related to injustice in the world. But one of the few places that I absolutely don't feel that is when I'm training.
I mean, to me, it's a joy to have these conversations but really about prevention of these and the change that we can make.
I mean, you feel empowered and you feel really connected to all these aspects of yourself that we kind of forget to cultivate or forget to check in with. And so it actually has the exact opposite feeling than what people think or what they're afraid it might be.
I think self-defense is about finding the belief in who you are and believing that you're worth defending.
It's something we say, but that I am worth defending. But it can often take like years of peeling that onion to get to the core belief that I am truly worth defending.
That's the myth that needs to be debunked, is that women are taught from such a young age that we're not worth it, that we need to be socialized to be a certain way, that we have to fit into this box.
I guess it's not a myth, but there is a very pervasive belief in our society that that each of us are not worth defending. We have a lot of, not just structural, but like just pervasive, internalized and externally presented beliefs around that it's okay for us to throw each other away in society.
Don't you think it's interesting that people judge? It's a response to your fear. You go to a self-defense class to work through your fear, but people have judgment about that.
It is self-defense, and that's what it is. And it's a powerful thing, and it's a wonderful thing. And all of this is in them. I'm not teaching them really anything or giving them anything they don't already have. They just have this time to really experience all the tools that they have, that they're born with.
I think by taking self-defense, you discover that I am who I am, and that's okay.
Just having time to recognize and honor all those things is a big part of what self-defense is.
I'm okay with, I'm not afraid to be in conflict, because conflict is, I think, is part of what is a catalyst to change. At the end of the day, I know I'm worth it, and if something doesn't feel right, then it's not right.
I think it kind of, ironically, it looks a little quiet. Strength looks a little quiet.
Compassion, the strength to trust in their own ability to handle it.
I don't have to prove that I'm tough. I know it in my heart, so I can fall on the floor and weep. And that's still a sign of my own strength.
That it comes from a certain quiet power.
Just being exactly who you want to be, without fear or apology.
I think real strength and power to defend yourself, I think it looks like belief. Believing that you can do it. Being able to defend yourself is believing that you have a self worth defending.
I really think, just from the most practical standpoint, that every woman and child should be trained to protect themselves.
Finding your center, knowing who you are, and that really is what I believe self-defense is, and what my strength is knowing who I am to the core of my being, and knowing that I'm enough.
We're the ones that are going to stop the epidemic of violence against women and children. We are the ones that are going to stop it, and when we turn that around, the world will look like a really different place.